Hello everyone, welcome to Code One, and in this video we are going to continue the data reading and writing by Excel sheet in Java. And this series is totally dedicated to the Selenium automation. Like while you're working with automation, you must need while you're working with a data driven automation where you need to put some data into Excel, or sometime you need to read the data from the Excel. So you have to perform this kind of read and write operation at that time. So in the last two tutorial you have seen how can we write the data and how can we read the data. In this one we will again read the data, but we'll make it bit tricky. We are going to read the data by column name. Let's say I have this Excel sheet and I created this Excel sheet. It's located in my data source folder. This is user data and it contains user data like ID, username and password and this. So I want to read the data that is available under this column, under this heading, all this data like Alice, Bob and Charlie's data of all these rows. Okay, so how can I read the data by this column name? Okay, so we will use our old code only, and if you don't watch the previous video I will recommend you to watch the previous video in this playlist and then continue this, or let me write it from the scratch. So I'm removing this old code to read the data, and here okay, this is my main method. I'm going to remove all the packages that is not in the used, right? Throws a exception is also removing. So this is simple my main method, and here I'm going to perform this operation. So let me format it, and let's say I'm going to add a comment here, read data from xlsx by column name, right? So at the very first, what I need to do, I need to first I need to go this file, this path. So first thing I need a path. So I'm just creating a path by using system dot get property. If you are already watching my previous video, you will easily understand what is this system dot property are doing here. So what I'm doing here, I'm going to take the dynamic path of this folder. Like I'm not sure if in case this project is moved into the other machine, so we need a dynamic path of this folder Java Selenium, and then we have a folder data source. So I'm going to concatenate this with this. So I say plus string, and the folder name is data source, so you are C, right? And then the file name. So file name is user data dot xlsx, right? So this is the path of my file. Now let's create a input stream. Next thing, I need an input stream. So I'm just creating object of file from java.io, and then new file, it says file, okay, and then I'm going to pass the path, right? Let's create an input stream. Say file input stream fis equals to new file input stream, and here I'm going to pass my file, okay, this file. This will throw an exception, so let's throw an exception that says file not found in case of file is not found. Okay, now we have an input stream. It means by using this FIS I can read the data of this file, right? The next thing, as we are using POI dependency Apache POI, so I can create an object of workbook. Okay, so make sure if you are creating an object of workbook, if you don't find this package, you just need to import this library, or you can say dependency in your form.xml. You will easily get it. Okay, so workbook equals to new workbook, oh sorry, it will be xss workbook. Okay, and here we can pass our in final that file input stream FIS. Now it will again throw an IO exception, so we can throw it and we can change it to IO exception. This is the root class. And now this workbook means we are going to access this sheet, okay, user data sheet. Now this see in this Excel file we have a sheet name as a demo, sheet 1, sheet 2. So we want to access this demo sheet only. So how can I set this into my code? I can say to my workbook, let's say focus on the seat equals to workbook dot get seat, and the seat name, I can pass the seat name here as a demo, right? So let's import the seat from Apache POI. Yeah, now my seat is ready. Now next thing, I need to read the column name, all this column name. Okay, so I need this data of this row. So how we can read that? For that we have a row equals to seat dot get row, and this is at 0th index. Okay, you know this seed will start from the 0th index, so this is a 0th row, and as an index this one 1 and 2. So I'm going to read the column name of these headings. Okay, these headings. So how can I do that? Just import this row, the very first from Apache POI. Okay, now let's create a cell. Okay, if I check the cell over here, cell equals to, okay, let's say read all the value of that row. So I'm going to put a for each loop, and I'm going to use the cell here, all the cells, and it's asking me to import it, I guess. Rename cell to cell, it's cell only. Okay, not a table. If we want this one, yeah, we need to import this cell package from Apache POI. Okay, now the row will be always this will iterate each and every cell of this first row. Okay, so let's print it. For example, let's check is working or not. So I'm going to say cell dot get a string cell value. Okay, let's say how many values we are getting here. Okay, you can see ID, username, and the password, means we are getting these details, right? These details. Now the tricky part, how would I know I need to specify the data of this username column? So we have to find the index of it. Okay, so how can I find the index? How can I find the index for that? So for that, let's do some tricky Java code and create a has map here. Has map, and this will be type of integer as a key, and value will be string for it. So I can say we can say it we can say has map, or we can say hm equals to new has map here, right? And let's create it here, and I want to put these value into this has map. Okay, so how can I do that? I'm going to comment this for now, and let's say hm dot put. Okay, and here we need to pass the key. Okay, so what is the key? Key will be cell dot get column index, right? And as a path, what can I pass here? I can pass cell dot get string cell value. Okay, now we are creating a has map and adding the value. So in the string, in this string index, in this string side, value side, it will store id, username, and password, and in the index side it will store here 0 1 2 as an index. So let's retrieve the data, retrieve the value, and check what's inside of our has map right now. So how can we retrieve the value from has map? So we can say for each, again I can put a for each loop over there, and I can say map dot entry, and here I can pass again integer and string type, and this will be my has, I can say hm1, and this will be routed to map dot entry, or I can say it will be get entry, and this is my map. Okay, so I can pass it as a variable here hm dot entry set. Okay, I can call the entry set from here. Now this hm1 will have like values or the user data. We can keep it as user data. Okay, now from this user data, what I need to do, I need to find the index. Let's put it, let's print it and check what we are getting. The user data dot get key I'm passing here, and yeah, it will return me okay. Then I'm pushing a space, and user data dot get value, it will return me a value. Like, let's print it. Now if you notice, it will be showing 0, 1, 2 as index and user ID, username and password. So we are just handling this data only for now to identify the column name. So it's showing that ID is on index 0, 1, 2. Always remember the index in Excel index will be remembered from the 0 index. Okay, so now we have index. Also we have a hash map that contains the column index and the column name. So we can put a check here. And what will be the check? Let's say exactly what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to find a integer column index. Okay, column index. And why we need a column index, let me show you. Because by the column index we will read the data of the complete column. Okay, so here I'm going to put a check again. If this user data dot get value is equals to the column name. Okay, and the column name in my case is uname. Okay, so I'm going to copy the exact name here and I'm going to pass it. If this thing is this get value is equal to this, then column index equals to user data dot get key. It means we are storing this index into this user data. Okay, we are getting this key and we are finding the column index. So now we have the column index as a let's say for the username the index will be 1, so the value will be 1 for the column index. Now the simple thing, we have already have the rows. Okay, so we have to make some changes into here as well. And now we are retrieving the data by index for the column this. Okay, so the row will be row will be changed 1, 2, 3, 4, but cell will be static. The cell will be 0, 1. Okay, so cell will be 0. So let me change it. So row, okay, final get data here. So I'm going to put a loop again, for each loop, and here what we are going to do, we are running a loop integer I equals to 0 and then I is less than how much row. We have a row here, so let's say it's not a row. Okay, row dot count, row dot get first count. We need a length of this row, I guess last cell number we can say. Okay, so last cell number, it means this one, 0, 1, 2. It will iterate till 2, and then we can keep it equals to, because always index will start from 0 only, and then we can keep it I plus plus. Fine. And now this loop will run and row will be always static here. So I can say row set row, and row will be changed every time, so I will pass it I. So in the first iteration it will read the data of this row. Second index, in the second iteration it will read the data of this row, then third iteration, and then fourth iteration. Okay, so it means the I will be changed every time. Now the challenging part is the seed or the cell. here I'm going to say again, let's say cell equals to row dot get cell, but cell will be constant here. So cell will be, what will be the cell here, and we can keep it as cell 0 or 1. Okay, so this will be a first row. So for the cell only we have find this index, so we can find this column index and we can pass this. So it will be 1 only. So let me print it so it will be easily understand. Sys out why we retrieve this. So this is my column index. Okay, so I found this column index and I passed this. So in this case the column index will be constant and the row will be changed every time. So it will reach to the length and print the data. Now we have data into this cell. So what should be my next step? I can just SOP it, cell dot get string cell value, right? So it will print all the details. Yeah, I can say here one message, so it will be easy to understand for you. So I can say final data for uname column, right? Let's run it. Now when I run it, you will see the final data for we can say final data for u column name, and it's showing uname, Alice, Bob and Charlie, but it's also printing uname. So we should not get this. Okay, we don't need this uname, we just need Alice, Bob and Charlie. What can I do? I can start this loop from 1. This is simple Java. Okay, you can see now it's printing final data for uname column is Alice, Bob and Charlie, right? And now you understand why we get this column name. We are doing this hashmap trick because we need this column index of this username. Okay, that's why we are getting this. But do you think we are writing all the code into this file, this main file? So how can you make it a method and then create a method and that this method will return all the things? So I'm removing this thing and I'm creating a simple method, public, let's say static, and I can name it a list, and this will return me a data of list. So the name is get data by column name. This is a method name, and this will take an input string as a name. Okay, we can say column name, right? And done. Now let's create a simple list that we will return this list here. So let's create a list. So list of type string equals to list equals to new array list, right? We have created one list of array list here. And again, important thing, this will like return an argument, also it will throws exception, so we have to add the exception as well. So I'm going to add this exception here, IO exception, and then we need to return this list, but this is empty list. Okay, we didn't add the value till now. So from here I can go to the list dot add and I can add the value as a this value, cell dot get string value, right? Get string value. Nice. Now that's fine. At the end of this method, what I can do, I can return this list. Okay, now we have added the value to this list and I can return list like this, and yeah, this my method is ready. Now the magical part is we are getting an input as a column name, so we can replace this uname that is static to a dynamic value. Now whenever I need to read the data of any column from this seed, what can I do? I can call this method like this, get column name, and I can pass my column name. So let's say I'm passing column name as a uname. Okay, and I guess U is capital over there. Just make sure you are using the exact name that is available here. Yeah, U is capital. Yeah, so it will return me a name, but let's comment all the prints, all the console logs, and see what we are getting here. Yeah, all the SOPs are done. All the SOPs are commented now, and when I run, it's not printing anything. Final data for the uname column. Yeah. So for that, I'm calling here, but I'm not printing here. So how can I use it? So create a list of a string type that is returning here, and then get this method, store the value into the list, put a for each loop, and keep it a user name, we can say, from this list, and we can print it here, sysout and username, right? I save the code, rerun the code. You will see the data Alice, Bob and Charlie, right? Now let's say I have write this code one time and I want to change the column name. So this time I want to data of the pass field, pass column. So I just pass it here as a pass, and now you will see the magic, and you will see the data of the magic, the data of the password field. You can see this is Alice at the underscore 123, pass and the underscore 123, and again pass one underscore 123 we are getting as a pass data. So by this way you can read the data of any column by its name, right? So what is the tricky part here? The tricky part is to find the index of the column. So here, let's say how this code will be executed. Let me explain you again. First thing, just we are here creating a path of that file. We are creating input stream, then we are creating a connection with our workbook, and then we are reading the whole column value of our header and storing that value into a hash map. Why? Because we need an index of that column. So in this case, let's say pass is coming here into the column name, and the pass will be written here, and we are finding the key. Let's say we are getting here, we are putting a condition: if this hash map, the value of this hash map is equals to our column name, then return the key of that particular index, okay, particular value. So the key is always index, like column index. So it will store the value here into the column index. By default value will be 0, and then we are iterating our loop to put the operations. So I have recorded 3 video for handling the Excel sheet while you're working with the automation, or while you're working with the like Java. This is not a part of automation. This is a simple writing and reading the data from the Excel sheet that you can use in your automation, and this is a mandatory things, because it's while you're working with e-commerce application or any application for the automation, you must need to handle the data. So in this way you can handle the data. Thank you so much for watching. If you like the video, please subscribe the Code One and comment if you need any specific video related to